everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Rise of Tyranny Minor Megatron. So this figure is a part of an Amazon exclusive 2-pack, but I'm actually going to be reviewing both figures separately, so make sure you stay tuned for Senator Ratbat's review coming very soon on the channel. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pick or a pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Rise of Tyranny 2-pack Minor Megatron and Senator Ratbat in white text. We have the Legacy Evolution logo at the bottom. There's actually another one at the top as well. We have a huge artwork shot of Minor Megatron and Senator Ratbat. If we actually do turn to the side, we have half of the Legacy Evolution artwork. If you do get another Amazon exclusive, such as the Humble Origins 2-pack, which that review is coming on the channel very soon, you can actually put both boxes together and complete the artwork. And speaking of Humble Origins, we actually do have a bit of a hint and sort of sneak peek of that pack on this side, which is pretty cool. And if we do flip to the back, we have several product shots, starting with Megatron. Of course, he transforms in 16 steps. There's a product shot of him in his robot and tank mode, also his Evo Fusion gimmick that I will show at some point in this review. Also, of course, for Senator Ratbat, he transforms in 17 steps. There's a product shot of him in his robot and hovercraft mode, and that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. Here we have Minor Megatron in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with that head sculpt. There's some really nice silver for the face with some red for the eyes, some really nice kind of caution tape design for the entire forehead section with some red for the crest, and some kind of silverish black gunmetal gray mixture for the main helmet section. And if you do see, of course, that same kind of caution tape stripe design is actually at the shoulders, the chest, and the front of the legs. Some people might think it's kind of weird. I actually think it works. It actually looks really cool in my opinion. I do like the main base color of this figure. It's a bit of an interesting mixture of almost a silver, a gunmetal gray, and a black. Hard to describe what color it is, almost like a charcoal color. Not really sure the technical name of that color, but I think it really works for this figure. Very dark, very menacing looking in my opinion. And of course, I do like all this kind of piping mechanical detailing at the forearms, and there's this really nice wiring and venting detailing done in silver and red at the stomach and chest region. As for the top of the legs, unfortunately, they're made out of that kind of unfinished gray plastic. Would have been nice if it was silver instead of that, but a very minor complaint. And of course, for the legs, overall pretty plain, just that kind of black, silverish, gray color that I mentioned before. As for the back of the figure, overall really well filled in. The back of the arms, the back of the legs, not much waffling or any empty gaps or anything sticking out. Very well compact. Of course, this is taking the Siege Megatron mold, so we kind of expected, what the back was going to look like, what the figure was going to look like. And the articulation all like that, so a bit predictable, but I actually do like these huge tank treads back here with all the nice nut and bolts and nice gunmetal gray detailing. And I do like all these kind of compartments done in grayish black. I think it looks really cool. And there are several mech ports for weapon storage in case you're wondering, and I'll show off all the accessories in just a sec. So as for tolerances, unfortunately there is one glaring issue on my copy. Anyway, of course, this could really just be my copy. It could be everyone's. I really don't know. I've watched several reviews of this figure so far, and no one's really mentioned this, but on my copy, unfortunately, the knee joints are so loose. If you can probably already tell, I'm actually leaning the figure forward. That's why I actually do have his arms bent, because I'm trying to balance the weight, because he has a tendency to fall back. So I do hope that doesn't happen in this video. If it does, I do apologize. His leg joints, especially his knee joints, are actually incredibly loose, which is a bit odd, because the rest of the figure actually has some really nice tight joints, like the waist, the arms, the rest of the legs are really tight. It's just that one area. I do know there's a fix. Of course, you can use like floor polish. I typically don't do that, but I might have to because they're actually extremely loose. But as for articulation, overall, of course, pretty much average Voyager class articulation. If you do have any previous use of this mold, Siege Megatron, any of the selects versions, you kind of know what to expect here. So of course, the head can look up and down, side to side. Of course, the arms can move out and in, forward and back. There is a bicep rotation. There is an elbow bend. No wrist rotation. If we do move the arms out of the way, there is a fully uncompromised waist rotation, really tight. Do keep in mind there's the tread, so you might have to sometimes move that. As for the legs, they can kick out and in, forward and back. There is rotation at the top of the leg. And the worst part with the tolerances is the knee. It's just so flappy and loose. It's not as, bad as it could be, but it's pretty darn loose in comparison to the rest of the joints. As for, of course, the ankles, they're actually kind of locked into place. You can actually untab those, use the ankle pivot, and just kind of tab them back into place. I'm not sure if you heard the tab or not. It's kind of a faint, small clicking sound. But again, very good articulation. transportation, really just my only major complaint for the tolerances is just the legs. They're just so loose at the knees, which is a bit weird because all my previous, versions I've had or copies I've had of this mold have never had that problem. Like the original Siege one, the Selects versions have never really had loose knees. I guess it's just kind of a fluke. I really don't know. But as for his accessories, actually, this is one major plus for this figure because they're all brand new accessories. They could have easily been cheap, just thrown in that same sword and same blaster that came with the Siege one and many other versions before it, but they're all brand new accessories. So I'm actually going to start off with the Evo Fusion gimmick because you can actually combine all the accessories to form one big weapon. Then I'll actually show you, of course, the two individual weapons you can actually form. So let's get into it. So I'm just going to quickly show all four pieces. We actually have this huge drill bit here because, of course, he's a minor Megatron, which is cool. I do love the nice silver on all the little indents and spikes and details. We actually do have a part of the pickaxe. Of course, you can form a pickaxe that I'll show in just a sec. I do like the really cool kind of glowing purple energon effect. I think that's probably what they were going for, which is really nice. And then we have two kind of sort of handle type pieces, which these actually will come into play and a little bit more, of course. Not significant right now, but you'll definitely see. So how you're actually going to form this huge Evo Fusion weapon is you're actually going to get the drill bit, attach it to the pickaxe piece, get this piece here, and of course use the post and port like that. And then you can get this final handle piece or stick piece, plug that in, and there we have the Evo Fusion gimmick, which I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to be. I guess it could just be another kind of driller weapon or some sort of like crossbow. I guess it's really up for interpretation, but you can use this on several of the MechTech ports, really just wherever you want to display it. I've actually seen people use the post at the end, and actually have seen people use it like him in the hands, like actually hold it as like a sword or an axe, which is pretty crazy. But I typically do use the forearm port. I think that just looks the best in my opinion. Not my favorite weapon he actually has. I kind of prefer the more separated form though, the driller and the pickaxe that I'll show you in just a sec, but still, it's a pretty cool Evo Fusion gimmick. Very creative, a bit odd looking, but I think it works. So now for his separated accessories, of course, you're just going to remove this from the figure. Let me just kind of place him down here. Hopefully it doesn't fall back because of his loose knees, as you can see. But what you're going to do is, of course, just completely pull all the pieces apart like that. So this can actually form two different accessories. You actually can get this huge piece here and the drill bit. This can actually form a little drill, which you can actually attach onto any of the MechTech ports like before. And of course the pickaxe piece and the handle can actually plug into place. And there he has his pickaxe, which I think is so cool. I actually really do like the individual weapons. So you can put them in either hand. I'm going to put the pickaxe in this one like that. And then I'm going to put the drill on his forearm on the other arm. And I think that looks really cool in my opinion. Let me just quickly straighten him up, and there we go. Let me just move the camera up a tad bit. So let's now get down to a few quick comparisons. Here he is with his mold mates, Siege Megatron, which I have to say, I think I probably like this new deco more than the Siege one. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think it just looks cooler. I think it just works. Of course, this is kind of the pre-war design of Megatron. He's technically not a Decepticon yet. This is before the war when he was just a worker, a miner. So it's a bit of an interesting kind of concept figure. But please do let me know in the comment section down below of all the versions of the Siege Megatron. There's been so many. Which one is your favorite? If you can't pick one, give me two in the comments. So as for the mold changers, there's actually quite a few. So pretty much the entire chest is completely different. Some of the crotch I think is different, and the shoulders and the head sculpt are different, and of course also the accessories are different as well. Pretty much the lower portion of the figure, as you can see, where the legs are concerned, a lot of that is similar. Also, I do think the hand design is quite similar as well. But there's a good, decent amount of new molding. I was actually really surprised that there was going to be a brand new head sculpt. When I first heard the rumors about a minor Megatron, I was thinking they were just going to take, the Siege one and just, slap a new paint on it and maybe a few new accessories, and that was it. But a brand new head sculpt is really cool. That being said, it's not the most, huge change from Megatron. You can still tell there's a few similarities with the design, the sculpt, but still two really cool Megatron figures side by side. And now for another Megatron comparison, here he is with the Armada Megatron. He might actually fully fit in frame because he's a tall figure, but they do look really cool side by side. And as for another comparison, actually a packmate, here he is with Senator Ratbat. I think they look really cool side by side. And again, his separate review will be coming very, very soon. And for one final comparison, I thought I'd compare him to his sort of, I guess, arch nemesis. Let me just quickly straighten him up. Here he is with Ryan Pax from the Humble Origins Amazon exclusive. And again, his review is also coming very soon on the channel. And that is pretty much it for comparisons. So let's now get down to transformation. What I'm going to do is just remove all the accessories, just put them off to the side for now. Then what you're going to do is actually flip in the hands like that, flip in the hands, and just straighten out the arms. And then what you're going to do is actually lift up the treads. You're going to rotate the waist all the way around like that. Then you can actually fold in the heel spurs. Fold in the heel spurs. When it's actually a lot tighter than the other, I really don't understand why. There's some weird tolerances on this figure. And then just push the feet out like that. So then what you're going to do is actually go to the back here. You can open up the treads like that. And then you're actually going to push this panel through because there's actually slots on the inside and there's tabs on this piece. So just kind of slowly push this piece through and tab that into place like that. And then just push this over the head like that. And then you're going to push the arms to the back here and get them out of the way. And how these tab into place is there is a tab here and a slot on the chest. So just push these all the way to the back. As you can see, there's this huge open space here, and this entire tread section is going to fit inside like that. So just push this through. Just give that a nice squeeze. Make sure it stays all the way back there. There we go. We can actually move on to the legs now. This part can be a bit tricky. You're actually going to open up this entire flap or panel on the back of the leg. You're actually going to bend at this joint here, and then you're going to rotate this entire assembly around. So make sure this is flat, because if this is not flat, it will not close. You're actually going to push this entire panel over. There is a tab on the waist and a slot on this panel. That's just going to tab into place like that. Do the same thing on their side. Just hinge at that hinge there and fold this around again. Make sure that's flat or it will not close. Close that panel up and then tab that into place. As for one final step, let me just kind of quickly straighten them up. You're actually going to bring out the accessories. Again, you're actually going to separate these pieces like that. And you're actually going to tab this extra handle on there because there's actually tabs on the side and there are slots on the inside. This entire little pickaxe piece, you can actually store that in several different ways, which I'll show in just a sec. You're just going to tab this on the inside like that. It can be a bit loose sometimes. There we go. And then tab it into the other side like that. And there we have Minor Megatron in his driller mode. Let's take a look at the details. Here we have Megatron in his driller mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very front, of course, of this huge drill bit here done in silver. I do like all these little indents and spikes. Tons of that really nice kind of black and yellow stripe design, almost a caution tape design, pretty much across the entire driller or tank mode. I do like this kind of charcoal gray color or charcoal, almost a blackish silver color. A bit hard to describe. There's, of course, on this entire vehicle here. I do like the huge tank treads, and if you didn't know, there's actually 4 rolling wheels on the bottom, which is pretty cool. And rolls really well across the surface. Keep in mind this is a cloth surface, so there's a bit of a grab, so if you use like a flat table, it would be better. As for my complaints, of course, one of the major complaints with just this mold in general, not really specific to this use or this version of the mold, is the feet. A lot of people had a problem when Siege Megatron first came out, how the feet kind of just stick out the back, and that complaint, I'm assuming, just lasts until today. I've kind of gotten used to it. It really doesn't bother me as much as it used to. One of my personal complaints, really just my opinion, is I think there probably should have been some more paint and some more new molding. Because for the robot mode, of course, there's a brand new head sculpt, brand new shoulders. There's a lot of new pieces to actually distinguish it from the Siege Megatron. But in this mode, if you do take away the brand new accessory, it is pretty much just that Siege Megatron tank, of course, with just one new accessory. So it would have been nice if there were some more pieces to actually distinguish it from that tank, because it is quite obviously a repaint of Siege Megatron in this mode. Yet their mode, of course, there's quite a few new pieces, so it actually looks very different from that figure. So maybe, you know, some more paint apps, because as it is, it's a bit bare here and there, even in the robot mode. That's really a complaint for both modes. Maybe some silver, some red on these areas. It's a bit bare, but also, again, new molding. Like maybe they could have had like a turret or something, or like a secondary drill piece on top or something. Really just spitting out, you know, ideas. They could have come up with something probably better than that, but I think you understand my complaint. As for accessory storage, of course, they have the huge drill bit there. I think that's pretty cool. That's using 3 of the accessories. The 4th one and the final one is the pickaxe piece, which it would have been nice if they, were a bit more creative and maybe they could have like stored it underneath the vehicle. But what they say to do is you can use any of the MechTech ports, and of course there's the post, and you can just plug that into place like that, and it's just supposed to store on the side, which I guess is okay. You could probably, say it's like tools, on the side, so we can like, change from the pickaxe to the drill bit, and vice versa. You could probably work in some story on why it's on the side, but again, it would have been nice if they could have maybe worked in a way to like store it underneath the vehicle. I think that would have been pretty cool. I think there probably would have been some room somewhere to actually fit in. I think that would have been really nice. But that is pretty much it for, of course, this details and the, accessory storage. I guess, one last playable feature, which is still, present on this vehicle, is this can actually rotate, because this used to be a tank. So you can actually have him, drilling the walls for Energon if you want to. But now for some comparisons, here he is with his original use of the mold, Megatron, Siege Megatron, looking pretty cool side by side. And the main difference, of course, is the entire, drill bit. It's a turret on this one, it's a drill on that one. And there's a few changes here and there, like the fronts and these sections here, but overall, you can tell there is some major similarities between the two, but they do look really cool side by side. And again, let me know in the comments of all the uses of the Siege of Megatron mold, which is quite a few, which one is your favorite. I think right now, just in mind, I think this one might be my favorite, but it's been a while since I've looked at all of them, because there's probably like 10 uses of this mold, so I'll probably have to go back and look at all of them. But now for another tank Megatron comparison, here he is with the Armada Megatron tank. This one is huge, and they look really cool side by side, as you can see. And for one final comparison, here he is with the Senator Shockwave, which his review is coming very soon on the channel. And that is pretty much it for comparisons. So let's now get down to reverse transformation. So what you want to do is actually split open the arms and just take this accessory out. And how it was stored is, of course, there's 2 tabs and slots on the inside. I'm just going to raise up the camera as much as I can so you can see what I'm doing. What you want to do is actually flip the hands out. Flip the hands out like that, and then we can actually go to the back here, just untab this section. So there is a tab on the waist and a slot on the inside of the leg. Flip that out, and then just completely unravel the leg using this hinge. Hinge that down and out like that, pretty much fully extending the leg. Do the same thing on the other side. Untab that, open that up, fully extend the leg down. Close that up, and then you can bring the feet down, open up the heel spurs. For some reason, on one side it's like super tight, on the other it's actually loose. It's a bit weird with heel spurs. There we go. There we have the legs pretty much all done. What you're going to do is then rotate at the waist all the way around like that. And then what you can do is actually get the entire front tank or driller portion, just hinge this up. And then you can actually split the tank treads, get this flap, and just push this through like that to the other side. And how this is tabbed into place is there is slots on the inside and there is tabs on this panel. And then what you can do is actually push the shoulders forward, and this will just go to the back there. And there is a tab on the shoulder and a slot on the inside of the chest. Just tab those in. And then you can actually collapse the treads in. There is slots there and tabs on these pieces. So just tab those into place like that. And collapse that against the back. Let me just quickly straighten him up like that. Again, have to kind of lean him forward a bit because those joints. But there we have the reverse transformation of Minor Megatron. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Rise of Tyranny Minor Megatron, starting in the driller mode. I overall really do like it. The huge drill bit is really cool. You can imagine him, drilling for Energon. You could do some really cool stop motions and some fun pictures, but I think it would have been nice if there was some more new molded pieces and maybe some more colors and paint apps, because if you do take away the new accessories, there's not a lot to distinguish between this mode and the tank from Siege. There's a lot of similarities, and it's quite obvious, of course, just to repaint using the Siege Megatron. The other mode, of course, the robot mode, there's quite a few major mold changes that are obvious. So maybe like some new treads or something, or maybe some more guns, some more new molded pieces here and there, really would have made a world of difference. Of course, the accessory storage, the driller accessory actually forms, of course, the front driller piece for this, and the pickaxe can just store on the side. Maybe it would have been nice if there was a better place to put the pickaxe, like in the back or like underneath the entire driller would have been nice, because as it is, they kind of just say put it on the side using the Megtech port, which isn't the greatest. As for transformation, it's pretty much the exact same thing as Siege Megatron, so nothing surprising there. If you have any use or version of that mold, you know exactly what to do with this one. As for the robot mode, I actually really do like it. In some ways, I probably prefer this deco and this color scheme over the Siege one, because the battle damage kind of gets a bit old, and they didn't do the greatest with the battle damage on Siege Megatron. It looks a bit odd at times. For this version, there's actually quite a bit of new molding in this mode. There's a brand new head sculpt, the shoulders, the chest, and a bit of the crotch is actually brand new. Really where the forearms and the hands and the bottom portion of the legs are concerned, that's most of the reused pieces. Of course, the tank treads kind of just store on the back, which actually look really cool. I just like the main kind of color scheme or base color they actually use for this figure. It's a bit of an interesting kind of silver, gunmetal gray, black mixture. Really hard to describe, almost like a charcoal gray color, but I actually really do like it. And it's pretty interesting with the kind of caution tape, design sticker, black and yellow stripes across the entire figure. It's a bit odd. I can understand why some people don't like it. They might not get this pack because it's a bit of an interesting color scheme and design. I think it works and it actually looks really cool. As for accessories, of course, you can have his driller weapon and his pickaxe, which actually I think is kind of cool because, we're so used to getting, swords and the typical blaster for Megatron. This is a bit of an interesting twist to have a driller and a pickaxe because, again, remember, this is before the war. This is kind of the pre-war Megatron design and appearance when he was in a Decepticon, which is so weird. We usually pretty much never say that with a figure or just in general when we're talking about Transformers, which is really crazy. Articulation-wise, pretty much the exact same thing as the Siege Megatron. Overall, if you've never experienced this mold at all, really good articulation for a Voyager. I actually really like how the ankles lock into place. There's actually a kind of a clicking, soft clicking mechanism, so they actually stay in place, which is really nice. Unfortunately, actually with past uses of this mold, the whole locking mechanism wouldn't even work. The ankles would be so loose and the slot would be so loose they would not stay. But with this version, I can say, at least on my copy, they're actually really well locked in place, which is really good to see. Unfortunately, the tolerances with this figure are a bit iffy. So, the overall tolerances with the arms, most of the legs, the waist are actually really, really good. Good head articulation, really stiff and good. Actually, a major compliment and plus for this figure, because a lot of people had a problem with the Siege Megatron, because the head actually sits on a plate and you're supposed to push it down, and it was always so loose, and it would, of course, always fall down whenever you're just messing with the figure or maybe posing the head around. This one's actually really stiff. It actually keeps its shape and stays in the place you want to for the remote, which is really good, at least on my copy anyway. But the major tolerance problem I have is with the knees, especially where the knees are concerned, because they're just so loose, so the figure often wants to fall back, so I actually typically have to lean it forward. So if there's any point in this video where you actually see me kind of pushing the figure forward, or maybe actually having it lean more forward, that is the reason why, because the knee bend is just so incredibly loose. I know there's probably a fix for it. I probably will end up just adding maybe some floor polish. I typically don't like to do that on figures because it makes the figure kind of sticky and gamey and a bit weird, but with this specific case, I might have to. But that's really my only major complaint. I guess if I were to be picky, maybe some more paint here and there would definitely benefit both modes, because especially where the legs are concerned and the arms, they are a bit bare. I do like the kind of yellow-black stripe, detailing, the caution tape detailing, but that really can't cover all of the details. It would have been nice maybe if there was a bit more like silver, or maybe some other colors like red, take that dark red from his eyes. I think that would have really worked. Just a few more paint-ups here and there, because some areas are a bit bare, but I do hope you enjoyed this review. If you haven't already told, of course, this figure is a part of a 2-pack, so I will be reviewing both figures in this Rise of Tyranny 2-pack separately. Of course, this review is for the Megatron, and I will upload a review of Rat-Bat very soon. The same goes for the Humble Origins. I will be reviewing Center Shockwave and Orion packs in separate videos. You might be wondering why. I'm actually doing it for a specific reason, because I want to be able to review the figure separately so I can put all my time and attention on one figure, so I can just focus on, Megatron here, and I don't have to go back and forth from Rat-Bat to Megatron, so I can just put all my time and attention on this one, and I can, of course, give you the best review possible. I do hope you enjoyed this kind of different review. I know probably some people were expecting me to review both figures in one video. I'm actually kind of giving this a chance. I think it probably went better than trying to review 2 figures at a time. That's just my opinion anyway. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.